Every once in a while, I come across some disturbing thing on the internet that I feel like I have to share with you guys. Now, this is about to get real weird, and this ultimately will probably get age restricted by YouTube. But tap in while you can to learn the depths of the internet and why it's so weird. Meet PRS Schooler. Yeah, that's right, Preschooler. This is some sort of new emerging niche where, women are dressing like kids. And what I was expecting when I clicked on this account was some sort of one-off type of situation, where somebody is doing some sort of AI rendition. And I have my own ideas about AI and how nasty it can be and harmful. Because come to find out, this is a real woman doing this real thing for some sort of monetization gain. There's hashtags for it. There's even seemingly some sort of bio indicator for it. There is some sort of coded language that they're using in the descriptions or in the comment section of each and every single one of these videos. And I tried to decipher to try to figure out what's going on, but every time I looked at a word and tried to go through it, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit because this is absolutely disgusting. They use their Instagram and TikTok to, get traffic from the social media sites with the algorithms, but then ultimately funnel them into their OnlyFans, content. Similar to a lot of other OnlyFans content creators, but this one preys on the idea that people like young girls. I mean, look at the way in the descriptions they mimic talking like children. Kitty in preschool? That's absolutely weird. Over here we shame because this sort of content or conversation is not subtly alluding to anything. It's just outright advertising yourself as supposedly a younger or childlike figure making some sort of content for adults to consume. This is literally a real life version of lolly content or whatever, but this time they're actively saying, hey, I'm this many years old, meaning 5 years old or 3 years old or whatever years old. These people are weird. I've talked about it in the past on this channel, and by past I do mean recently, about what happens when OnlyFans content creation goes far as hell, and this is just another form or interpretation of that same exact scenario and situation. We gave a lot of backlash and ridicule to Bonnie Blue just a video ago, or maybe two, or whatever the case may be, but this is another end of the spectrum where there are women, young, old, or whatever, who have figured out a way to play into the game or the system or whatever these sick people's fantasies are in order to get this sort of content off. This is no different than Bonnie Blue. This is no different than the content creators who fake special needs, disabilities on their faces through, facial etching or imaging. This is no different than any of these things. And to be honest with you, I feel like this should fall into the same category as consuming CP if you are distributing and cosplaying as a CP type of performer. And because this is the internet, of course, there are some sick, nasty, freak people who would be defending this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. This tweet reads, she might be trying to also express her older self as well as her inner child. You... What? People be thinking they cook it and it never cook. You're very closed-minded. I understand it as it looks different or odd to you, but educate yourself on these topics before you insult a woman who is probably emotionally stunted and deeply traumatized. That doesn't take away from the fact that her page says 18 plus. That doesn't take away from the fact that she has an OnlyFans link in her bio. Like what? That doesn't take away from any of these things. Her page says 18 plus, you stupid ass bitch. I understand the concept of little space, but she's sexualizing it. Honestly, I wasn't talking to you at all. I just seen a tweet in my timeline and wanted to create awareness towards a real issue, but you are reaching bitter and a hater. You hide behind a little screen, but I bet you would never call me none of that to my face. And there's a lot of people on this platform, whether it be TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, claiming that these young women participating in this have some sort of coping mechanism called age regression. Okay, I can sort of understand that. Age regression is something that I've probably seen in my actual life. But age regression has nothing to do with this woman being bent over, calling people daddies, playing with crayons in herself. Like, all of that is disgusting. That's a whole different conversation. And just because there is something that is adjacent to it does not mean that we should be mixing the two, because it definitely takes away from people who are actually suffering from what seems to be a real coping mechanism that stems from a slew and a myriad of serious things.
Do not get age regression mixed up with age play. Those are two different things. Age regression is not a...
Yeah, that's just you being straight up freaky. Like you being a pedo, straight up. Oh, I thought he was gonna let me say it on this camera, the fourth wall camera, but I guess not. He's just really feeling himself. There were people who saw right through the ruse and through the gimmick of it all, but honestly, I don't think enough people understand the bigger picture and magnitude as to what's going on.
You do not need to be a bop right when you turn 18. Try something else first, you know? You have lots of other options. I tried hair school, music school, art school. I went to college for 4 years. Yes, indeed. Try something else first, because once you're a bop, you probably won't have the chance to try everything that you wanted to try.
Besides going deeper and darker into that depraved sort of content. Now, watch Abba and Preach's video, because I think that what they talked about in that was very, very important, very, very real, and something that a lot of people on the internet have been warning people for forever. That was a young woman from the Bop House, the content creation house in which, you know, they are OnlyFans models doing like a collab house. The AMP of OnlyFans, really like the sidemen of OnlyFans if we're really being truthful about it, but that's neither here nor there. But if you look into what's really going on here is that OnlyFans content seems to be some sort of gateway or outlet, or perceived gateway or outlet, for a lot of the youth that is coming up in today's society. And it was okay when we started just talking about people going into regular work, that's fine, but we added an algorithm to it, we added social media to it, we added all these different things, which opened up the avenue for people to reach other different audiences, and those other different audiences have other different, I don't know why I'm using that word. Y'all be sickos and need to be in jail, straight up. But especially because you're trying to now play the algorithm game like me, a regular content creator, tries to do. I'm trying to appeal to the titles, the thumbnails, and whatever I can do to market myself to a brand new audience. That might mean that you have to bait just a little bit more. And for these people, baiting is pretending to be 3 to 5 years old. That's why we know it's not age regression. Like the woman said in the video earlier, hey, age regression is different ages for different people. These people seemingly target 3 to 5 year olds because the people that are willing to pay for the content are looking for 3 to 5 year olds. And that's how you get here. This is the way that a pipeline works. This is the way that the slippery slope works. This is the way that all of this stuff works. Now you become more and more and more and more degenerate based off of basically how much finance you can get out of any given situation. There's more money in doing this type of work, you know, shilling to this type of audience, being this type of depraved or whatever the case may be, as opposed to just taking bikini photos. So what do a lot of people do? They go down this path. This manifests itself in the people that go to Dubai, the people that do stuff with animals, the people that just do some of the weirdest content. However, now these people are so brave and proud that they have their own hashtags talking about them being preschoolers. And it's funny because every chance that we get when we look at these old school OnlyFans content creators or people that put sex first and sexualize themselves, they talk about regretting it or how these people are going way too far.
This makes me so sad and so angry at OnlyFans. OnlyFans is so gross because it literally weaseled its way into these feminist spaces and convinced women that it is somehow empowering for them to sell their body online with false promises they're gonna make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's not the reality of it. It's basically a work pyramid scheme. In what other business, when the market is so flooded, would you continue to try to recruit young women? And don't get me wrong, I have no problem with sex work, but it is not supposed to be this common, especially not amongst young women. And I hate to say this, but this is the opposite of feminism. This is quite literally the objectification of women. You can have us at a price. What? And I don't know why I feel like I'm so early on this train, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it, which is again why I'm so proud of this girl for posting about it.
Every day, and I mean every day, it really seems like every single day we find more and more sick content disguised as empowering or, you know, uplifting or whatever the case may be. And that is just a straight up lie. Now, I do think that these women participating in these types of videos or types of content do have some sort of illness going on, but it's definitely created based off of, you know, the social media algorithm. They know that they can prey on some of these other young men and their deepest fantasies, whether it be, you know, a harmless love of gaming, because I know you guys have seen those types of advertisements and those types of creators where it's a woman with her breast out saying, "Who, come and play this game," or it's these sick individuals that have real life problems where they are attracted to the youth, and now they are playing into this as well. At this point, I'm starting to see it trickle down. Every state, you know, is having to face this obstacle, but like pornography is up for ban, and unless we can get things regulated, I probably am going to switch sides and say, hey, I'm okay with this, because if this is what is flying on the internet, we need to get the flood in here. We need the rapture. We need the rapture ASAP.